Most people think power belongs to the loudest mind in the room. They assume that if they can explain themselves clearly enough, the room will make space for them. What usually happens is the total opposite. The room makes space for people who make the room feel stable. Stability in most environments has little to do with truth. It has to do with predictability. That is why independent thinkers often feel punished for being honest. They are being managed for disruption. I'm Chief. Welcome to Chief Logic. Today, we're breaking down Law 38, a law built for people who think differently, but still want access, influence, and control over their outcomes. Law 38 says, think as you like, but behave like others. That line sounds like surrender if you read it emotionally. It's not surrender. It is sequencing. It separates internal freedom from external strategy, and it recognizes that people respond to signals more than they reward ideas. Most people are comfortable with independent thinking in private. The problem starts when independent thinking becomes visible behavior before the environment is ready for it. Behavior is what people track and interpret. When your behavior diverges from the group before you have insulation, you become a problem the system wants to solve. Reality works like this. Every environment runs on unwritten rules that keep things moving without constant negotiation. Those rules are functional. They decide what is tolerated, what is rewarded, and what quietly triggers resistance. When you violate those rules too early, nobody debates your point. They label you, reduce your access, and stop pulling you into the rooms where decisions are shaped and where decisions are made. They do it politely, and that politeness is what confuses people. The mechanism is defensive. The systems protect stability before they protect improvement. Improvement costs energy and shifts status, routines, and control. When people feel that shift is coming, they contain the source. That containment shows up as feedback. It shows up as culture fit. It shows up as comments about your tone, your timing, or your approach. It's rarely framed as what it truly is, an attempt to keep you from changing the balance of the room before the room has decided how it benefits. This is why timing is a form of power. The same idea delivered at the wrong time gets dismissed as attitude. The same idea delivered after leverage is established gets treated as leadership. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is position. Thinking as you like means keep observing, questioning, and forming conclusions that may differ from the group. You notice patterns others normalize. You see where this is how we do it is being used as a substitute for thought. Behaving like others means you don't convert every observation into a public correction. You don't turn every insight into a debate. You move through the environment in a way that keeps your access intact, while your thinking matures privately. There's a difference between hiding and withholding. Hiding is driven by fear of consequences. Withholding is driven by an understanding of consequences, and it's how you stage yourself without reducing yourself or making yourself someone that you're not. The consequence of ignoring this law is rarely dramatic. Most losses are quiet, and they rarely come with an explanation. Projects stop landing on your desk. Informal conversations happen without you, and opportunities drift towards people who are less sharp but more predictable. Independent thinkers often make a second mistake at that point. They interpret exclusion as proof they should push harder, so they speak more directly, and try to force clarity into a system that is avoiding clarity on purpose. That's how people sabotage themselves while calling it authenticity. Authenticity is not blurting. Authenticity is aligning with your long-term interests. If your long-term interest is agency, then your behavior has to protect your position until you can move on your terms. Here is what behaving like others actually looks like. You learn the pace of the room. You notice who influence decisions before decisions are made or when they are announced. You study what triggers defensiveness and what invites curiosity. You stop treating the environment like a courtroom and start treating it like a map. Then you build insulation. Insulation is competence people rely on. It's relationships that create cover. It's credibility that makes others hesitate before they try to label you. Once insulation is real, your behavior can diverge without the same mistake. After the midpoint, this law becomes clear when you see it in real situations. Picture a workplace where the process is ineffective and everybody knows it's ineffective. The independent thinker arrives and names the problem immediately. They propose a better structure in the first meeting, and the structure is sound. The room nods, then slows the change down, questions every detail, and starts describing the thinker as a lot. Nothing about the proposal changed. What changed is the room's sense of control. The proposal arrived before the room had decided where it placed them inside the new structure. So the room protected itself by resisting the person, not the idea. Now, compare that to someone who arrives and behaves like others at first. They follow the current process without mocking it. They ask questions that sound like curiosity, not indictment. They deliver results inside the existing rules. Over time, people start relying on them, and reliance creates leverage. Then, when that person suggests a change, the room receives it differently. Not because the idea improved, but because the person is now embedded. The room adapts because rejecting the suggestion would cost more than adjusting. You don't owe your thoughts to every environment. You owe your future the condition it needs to grow without sabotage. If you reveal every plan before it is stable, you invite interference. If you announce dissatisfaction before you have options, you lose leverage. If you signal departure before you are ready, you turn your own timeline into a bargaining chip for other people. Behave like others until you have choices. Think as you like the entire time. Keep your internal freedom private while you build external power quietly. When your behavior eventually shifts, let it shift from strength, not from frustration. This law is not asking you to conform permanently. It's asking you to delay disruption until disruption is effective. It's asking you to prefer outcomes over applause. It's asking you to treat silence when chosen intentionally as an investment. I don't hide my thinking. I protect its timing. I move when movement strengthens my position, not when it satisfies my ego. Stay sharp, stay grounded.